is our cornerstone event for the season, starting tomorrow night. But the fact is, if we didn't get it done now, we didn't know what
was that critical.
We were at a critical juncture.
Gary, you've been fortunate the last few years, Mr. Vinnick in Tampa Bay, Mr. Pagula in Buffalo, and to bring in solid ownership like was announced today with David Thompson and Mark Chipman. That's got to be very positive.
Nothing is more important than ownership. I think everybody over the years has come to learn that, and when ownership has got it right, has the resources, the commitment, that is making the right decisions, the franchise will function a whole lot better than the contrary. And frankly, when you're in a bad ownership situation, and unfortunately we've seen some of them, it puts a franchise at peril. And I think the ownership situation in Atlanta ultimately led to the fact that the franchise couldn't be sold in Atlanta.
Gary, as a player in the mid-'90s, the perception that we got was that the corporate world couldn't really come through for a city like Winnipeg, and the game was obviously growing. Was that factual? And if so, how's it changed 15 years later?
Well, I think there are a number of factors in terms of what has changed. We have a different economic system as a league, the combination of the hard salary cap and revenue sharing. This city has weathered the recession perhaps better than most in Canada. There was just a board report talking about the economics of Winnipeg and the fact that it believed that a franchise could be supported here. We have this building, which didn't exist, and there was no prospect of this building in '96. We have the ownership, which we just talked about. This is a good time, a great time to be bringing a team back to Canada for all of the reasons I've discussed, not the least of which is a strong Canadian dollar, but that in and of itself isn't what's making the difference.
I'll ask you the same question I put to Mark. Was there a period of time, a moment where you thought, you know what, it might work again in Winnipeg?
Well, as Mark, I think, said during the press conference, we've been talking for a number of years, and I believed that with the ownership he was talking about, with this building, tracking the changes in this community from an economic standpoint, I did believe it could work. And we have a history of trying to return to places that we left when the factors that caused us to leave in the first place changed. Minnesota is a very good example of that.
Gary, maybe a little premature to ask, but the division, well, they've got great geographic rivals here, and eventually that will happen. Yes. Challenging timeline now for conference division play. When will those type of decisions be made?
It's our contemplation for better or for worse. And from a scheduling standpoint, it's not for better. The team will have to, for next year's schedule, stay where it is in the East, in the Southeast. We'll have to work the schedule around those teams when they go to Minnesota, when they're in Calgary and Edmonton, when they're in Chicago. We're going to have to do it that way. The concept of doing realignment on the time frame that we have to do a schedule for next season is simply not possible. It goes to what we discussed early on about timing. So we're going to make do for this 1 year, but there will be a change because Winnipeg belongs in the West, will be in the West. We just need time to deal with it because there are a number of clubs that have ideas about how they think they should be treated in any realignment, and the clubs that have those feelings are going to need an opportunity to be heard by the full board.
Speaking of time, you bought some time in Phoenix. Obviously, Atlanta's taking care right now. No, we're good. We're good.
The city of Glendale bought the time.
They bought some time with the $25 million. Where does the focus now go? Dallas?
Positive.
I'm all right. I'm okay. Because you still have some challenges down there.
Every sports league, including ours, always has franchises at one time or another that are going to have issues. Dallas is involved in a process which I think will see the franchise under contract in the next few weeks. We're not concerned. Phoenix, obviously the city of Glendale believes that they're close to doing a deal or they wouldn't have committed to another season. And again, you don't, when a city is prepared to put up a substantial amount of money to cover losses, you don't move out. In fact, when the Jets left here in '96, the province had made the decision that they were done supporting the losses that the club have. So we're hanging in there with the Coyotes because it's the right thing to do. Again, we don't move unless you have to.
Gary, looking at the financial model, and you've obviously looked at it and had major discussions about it. When you look at the 16,000 seat building, the corporate base here, do you perceive this as a team that has a chance to be a profit center, or do you see it as a potential revenue receiving franchise because of the market size?
I think that's a question better posed to Mark Chipman, but I think their view is they should be able to at least break even, if not make money. But as I said during the press conference, in order to do it in a 15,000 seat building, you need to be full every night. This is a wonderful building, very intimate, and I believe that they can make it work with the support that we believe this community will give the franchise.
Am I correct in stating that the National Hockey League owns the copyright Winnipeg Jets?
Yes, we do. Very good.
Is it for sale? Is it for sale?
No, if in fact True North decides that they want to use the name, we will make it available. But I think they're going through appropriately, or going to go through the process of reflecting on what makes sense for this community. Do you go back to the roots and the traditional name, or do you announce that this is a new era? I'm not opining on that, even though I get to approve the name. But if in fact they decide they want to use the Jets name, we will make it available.
What is your personal opinion on that?
You know what? I haven't given that a whole lot of thought.
A lot of people here have.
Obviously, and I know Mark is very sensitive to that, and I know that they'll come to the right decision. I'm more focused on the nuts and bolts of what had to be done. As Mark said, he hadn't focused on it, and as evidenced by the fact that as of 4:30 this morning, we didn't have a deal done. It was not appropriate to yet focus on a name.
Just switching discussion here for a minute. Boston, Vancouver.
Yes.
Pretty exciting to have, obviously, a Canadian team in the finals. The Bruins, a historic original six. Exciting time for the NHL.
We've had a great season. The competitive balance has been outstanding. If you think about the races, we have some teams that were in the playoffs. In effect, the last 2 months of the regular season, the playoffs have been great. We've seen amazing hockey. We've seen lead changes. We've seen unpredictability, and we've got two great franchises competing for the Stanley Cup. And the fans of both clubs are anxious to end their droughts.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we think this is going to be a terrific final.
I know we've got to go here as well, so do you, but Make It 7 has now arrived. Do you see 8?
Were you in the room when I answered that question?
I might have been running out to go live.
We don't speculate, right? We don't speculate.
Nobody should read anything into what happened with Atlanta going to Winnipeg as an indication that any other franchises are moving. We resist franchise relocation. Everybody knows that. We don't think we have any candidates for relocation, and we're going to fight as hard as we can to avoid relocation, as we always do. And I don't want to raise anybody's expectations.
So we shouldn't put too much into Bill Daly mentioning Seattle?
Well, there are expressions of interest from probably 5 or 6 different places. I know, there's some people speculating that somehow we came here as a last resort. That's absolutely not true. There were lots of places we could have come to. This is the place we wanted to be.
We look forward to seeing you in Vancouver tomorrow and again on opening night here at the MTS Center. Thanks for your time.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
There's the commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman, whose first interview is here with Rogers Sportsnet.